There we go.
Awesome.
That's the advantage of having to postpone something by a week. You get a chance to go back and do the trailer. Really fucking awesome is what you get to do. Oh man, I'm glad we finally got to this one. I had a personal issue that I had to go through last week with a damaged eye, and I couldn't really open my eye. It felt like it was on fire, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to do this stream." We lost a couple people along the way, unfortunately. Cassie Cage isn't going to be able to make it today because she's doing something, and Abomination AJ has like no internet for the last like 2 weeks or something. So unfortunately, we don't have them, but we still do have one of the original people. I'm glad to have him on. This makes him making his debut on this particular block, the Rising Sun block. We have a Sammy Threepeat.
What up?
Yo, brother.
Hey, Sammy.
I'm going a little faster because we are a little behind schedule.
Yeah, that's my bad.
No, it's not you, dude. It's all on me. I've been trying to put everything together, and it's just we have a show tomorrow too, and it's just like this is the first time I'm ever doing 2 in one weekend. And then I'm on your show. I'm like, I'm doing a video. I'm all sorts of but how you doing, brother?
Good. Yeah, no, it's funny what you said. Oh, let's get the light on.
Wow, you just had a flashbang go off in your face.
I just got abducted by aliens. Yeah, it's funny you say that. Yeah, I started doing two streams in one weekend. It's a bitch. So it's thinking about moving Cavecast to Wednesdays. But
see some people out in the chat. I'm happy about that. This one doesn't get as many people, but that's okay. This is
the chat. Is there?
Yeah, it's right over on the side over here. It's chat. You should have a thing there on the right.
Oh, there we are. There we are.
Yeah.
No,
well, I don't want to leave him in the backstage too long because he was nice enough to pop in, and this guy barely sleeps, and he's streaming from a completely different location. We can actually see him for a change. Usually he's in the pure darkness, but today Stupenzo's in the light.
I'm in the library. Yeah. I'm pulling an all-nighter. I was on Leon's Neon Leon, and
that's a cool name for a show. Neon Leon.
I'm drunk from last night still. Hell yeah.
Well, there's no better way to deal with being a little drunk than to watch a little Street Fighter, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah, honestly, I was like, why are you doing this on Saturday morning? And you're like, Saturday morning cartoons. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
All right.
So normally this would have been at 10. I would have did this at 10, but Sammy has a show at 11:30, so I bumped it up for him. This one's a short one. We should be done by
yeah, I told Dark Hour, it's like, are you gonna be up? Because I know your hours are weird. And I'm like, I don't know, honestly. And then like 6:30 in the morning, I was like, I think I'm gonna be up.
Nice.
Okay, well, I guess we'll do our round table. I just want to first say hello, chat. We see you, Jacob WD40, Daniel B, Morgan S, a lot of the regulars out there. Amy Curtis, Eraserhead. But yeah, let's do the round table, I guess, about the first time everybody saw this movie or experienced it, I guess. Since Stupenzo was so nice to step in last minute, I'll let you go first.
Oh man, I don't even remember where I first saw it. I know I rented it from Blockbuster, like the special interest section where all the anime was, and this probably would have been around the same time, the Mortal Kombat movie would have come out.
They came out the same year, pretty much. Yeah, this came out in the United States in '95. It came out in Japan in '94, but we got it in '95.
Okay, so yeah, maybe a year after Mortal Kombat. I don't know, but I just remember renting it a few times, and then it was like one of the first DVDs I bought ever. I rewatched it again the other night, and it is probably the best video game adaptation. Especially when you're talking about cramming in so many characters, and doing so much fan service. This is how you do it, right? And the soundtrack's badass, and it really is a good one. It really is solid. It's a solid flick for sure.
DVD right here. I always thought this was a really cool artwork for the they just do the fist coming out, and it's kind of you can't see it too well, but it's a little raised up, so it has like textile, like tactile.
Well, what's funny is I never saw. I've always seen the uncensored version with Chun-Li's titties. But
yes,
I never.
I'm going to go over that. Don't worry.
You have to go to watch the movie.
when I watched it last week, it's on YouTube, right? And I'm nostalgic with the dub version because that's the version I always watched, and I have the Japanese version on DVD as well, but I always watch the English dub. So I found the English dub on YouTube, and it was the first time I watched it in widescreen. And there's totally that what's his name with the red hair, the evil Ryu Ken guy,
Akuma.
Oh, Akuma.
Yeah, Akuma has a cameo in there that you would not have noticed in the.
Yeah, he's just kind of sitting on the street,
Begging for money for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I think I would have noticed that. I think I would have remembered that. And I look it up, and the special features is like, no, he's not there in the. He's only there in the widescreen edition.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow. Akuma makes a very brief count. It's when he's on the streets of India. We don't have a picture of that. Maybe I'll pull it up later though.
Because Akuma is one of those interesting characters that like started out as legend and made their way into.
Same thing with Fei Long. Fei Long was another one. Yeah, he's in the movie as well. But I guess that transition, Sammy. What was your first experience?
I'm pretty sure I saw this on the Sci-Fi Channel as a kid.
Oh, cool.
So obviously I was deprived of Chun-Li's titties, but
don't worry, we got Chun-Li's titties. I had to censor them, but we got them.
No, but luckily the Virgin I watched, because
the Virgin you watched?
Yeah. No, that
Freudian
was, I didn't see Chun-Li's titties. So the version I watched was the English and had the titties this time. So but they said that they had it on Crunchyroll. And they did, but I started watching the series, which is a way lesser.
Yes.
Way less.
It's not terrible by standards of.
Well, there's also Street Fighter Alpha.
Street Fighter Alpha V is.
There's a few. There's a few of these.
Generations V and Alpha.
But
a lot of them came out around the same time.
This was way better. I remember loving this. Like this was. I thought this was like the definitive. Like video game to movie adaptation, and then I'm watching it, and it felt like a Saturday morning cartoon. And I was like, oh wait, that's because it is a Saturday morning.
That's because you're watching the wrong thing. Joe just sent me the picture of Akuma. I can't add it to the
no worries.
I can't add it to the whatchamacallit, the slideshow, but I'll bring it up when we get to that section. I can just kind of like share it as is. Okay, so Joe, what was your first experience with this movie?
My first time watching it is when you said, "Hey Joe, you want to come on a stream for Street Fighter 2?" I said, "Sure."
It's crazy. That is a thing that has continued. That's how I know that like you were the proper person to replace Tar, because every time I mention a movie, you're like, "This is the first time I'm watching it." That's the thing he always did.
So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I thought it was really good. I'm surprised that we get 20 Fast and the Furious movies, but only like 3, 4 only of these movies? How come that we should get more of them? I feel like. So
one of the reasons why Street Fighter is hard to do is because its storyline is literally out of order without being said it's out of order. So like 1 and 2 happen, and then 3 takes place at the very end of the timeline. Then Alpha takes place after 1 but before 2. So it's really it's a hard adaptation to do because of that. The timeline is really fucked up.
Okay, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I would kind of be surprised if we don't get any more of these. With Hollywood running out of ideas these days,
I think they are doing another adaptation, or they're trying to.
Like, if you did a live action Street Fighter, like you take the Jean-Claude Van Damme one, but just do this script exactly as is, and just watch. This is a solid story. This is a great, and yes, your favorite character is like Blanca. He's kind of in one throwaway scene, for instance, and Dalzine, but
Dalzine got done dirty.
But you can't. That's the thing is like you can't have every character be in the limelight when you have such a huge ensemble cast. It's better when you're just kind of like burning through them. Especially,
like we said, Akuma just randomly is on the streets. It's like they do a pretty good job with whenever a character comes in as a random. Like Vega isn't really in it that much. He's only really in the fight, and you see him in the background for the most part. But you get a lot of characterization with just a few lines. And unfortunately, a lot of the clips today I had to do without sound, because a lot of these fights have licensed music in them. Which we were talking, me and Stupenzo were talking backstage. I was like, how the hell did they afford this? It's like they have like,
well, because back then, I think what was going on, especially in the old CD buying days and the early DVD, it's like, hey, man, you're doing a Street Fighter movie. Like it's more like we want to, you know, Soul Asylum or whoever else, Alice in Chains or KMFDM. It's like, no, we KMFDM. We were on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, you know. Let's or it's like we were on the Street Fighter soundtrack. Let's get on this Mortal Kombat soundtrack too, you know. I mean, we want the kids to get exposed to our music, basically. It's kind of
that actually in like the early 2000s up until about 2010, the video game industry kind of became that, where up and coming bands would sell their music to, you know, wrestling games, NFL like Madden games, and they would be the background music for when you were like doing character creation or like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's kind of when you knew that one of your like lower bands had made it, where you're like, oh my god, did you hear my Madden? Or, you know,
yeah,
working for a nuclear free city, they did like the soundtrack for like the whole soundtrack for the Infamous games.
Yeah, and that was kind of their way to get it out there. I didn't do my first experience. My first experience is almost identical to Stupenzo. That's kind of why I didn't really go into it. So yeah, same thing. I had heard, you know, I had gotten this. This was in a stack of DVDs that I bought. My first like ones that I ever bought after I got a job when I was like 16, 17. And, you know, I drove myself to FYE, bought a stack of like discount DVDs. And this was one of them. I still have it. Like I said, to this day, you know, it's like, I always like I said, I always like that box. It's just, it looks like a really cool artwork. And, you know, and of course, you know, we all mentioned the Chun-Li, shower scene, which I always say made me a man. You know, I finally got to see my girl. But in all honesty, it's just one of those movies that I can watch over and over again. It's very quick. It doesn't, you know, you can even skip around. Like if you're like, I don't really feel like watching this fight, I just move to the next one, you know. And you can watch it in segments if you want to watch it in 20-minute segments. It's really well structured like that. But yeah, it's you know, and that was my first experience. My actual first experience, that was probably I think I saw it on like HBO. I think that's where I saw it, or something like that, because it was definitely the uncensored version that I saw. And it could not have been on like Sci-Fi Channel. It had to be on like HBO or something. And you know, I was definitely like, at the time when I was a kid, I'm not good at fighting games. I'm the first to admit that. I have something about like I just don't have the timing necessary to put in the combos, or I just don't have the like. But I always loved Street Fighter. Like I always loved all the characters. I thought they were really vibrant. They were really interesting characters. Mortal Kombat's cool, awesome, but I always thought the characters in Street Fighter were better. And you know, like Mortal Kombat has a better overarching story to it. But you know, Street Fighter to this day holds in fact, it's Street Fighter 4 is my favorite. And I actually, toward the end of this, if you I'm gonna do like a questionnaire, and if you guys don't have it, if somebody doesn't have Street Fighter 4, I have a free copy that I'm gonna give out of Street Fighter 4 if somebody can guess which character I used. I'll do it later though. Don't start guessing yet. I'll do it as a Q&A in the later on. I'm just, if you don't have it, it's probably in my opinion, it's the best Street Fighter. But I say we get into this movie. What do you guys think?
I have one quick question though. If they were to remake this today, would Zendaya be playing Chun-Li or Cammy?
Both.
Yeah.
You know,
Blanca.
Two on the nose.
But anyway, so actually for the first time I think ever, I'm going to be starting with a clip, and this one has no sound because it pretty much opens up with a with what I would like to say, it's kind of a quick version of the first Street Fighter game. So most people have never played the first Street Fighter. They started with Street Fighter 2. Just a quick in Street Fighter 1, first of all, it looks terrible. It's horrible art, but it was just, you could play as Ryu or Ken, and you fought a bunch of random people, and then you fought Sagat at the end. And so they basically summed that up in about 2 minutes. But this has no sound, so we could talk over. Yeah, but so basically, you guys have to unmute yourself. That's the only thing. Yeah, so basically it's just Sagat and Ryu. It's hard to see. It's really hard to see this scene.
I just like to imagine like a family like on a road trip, just driving down this road, and this is happening like right out the side of the shoulder.
Look, honey, a street fight.
Roll them up.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing.
Roll them up.
Yeah, roll them up.
Oh man, there's some potential in there to do like a vacation thing here. I do one thing I do love about this. I love the way that they do the analysis of the fighters, like lung capacity, deltoid width. It's like
a lot of work went into that for such a small clip of it.
Yeah. But yeah, this pretty much sums up the first game in about 2 minutes. I mean, I have it in about a minute, but it's 2-3 minutes, and the whole first game is summed up.
Really, Sagat was the main villain in the first game?
Yep. And this is actually canon. How he got his chest scar was from Shoryuken.
Yeah, you can also beat the first game in like 20 minutes or some shit.
Yeah, because there's only like you fight like 6 people and then Sagat, and as long as you could input the combos, you could do like the Hadouken. The Hadouken does like half the bar damage on almost everybody.
Wow.
So it's a it basically if you hit somebody with 2 Hadoukens, that fight's over, and you just move on to the next thing. Oh, but yeah, so that's a really awesome way to start a film, I think.
Dude, yeah, and like seeing the the Shoryuken like uppercut punch, it's like lightning fast, and it's got this great like sound effect to it and everything. It's more like a laser, like slices right through Sagat. You see how Sagat gets his big scar,
Yeah.
It's all fun. And then you just the Japanese dudes shooting fireballs, one of our favorite stereotypes. I wish it was true. Yeah.
I've always said, so I tried to figure out for years why almost every anime and video game requires that the characters say the attack that they're doing. And the closest thing I could come up with is in Kendo, the martial art that derived from fighting with katanas. You have to call your shot. So you have to say which thing you're going to hit, whether it be the head, the wrist, or the body. And so I kind of always just assumed that that's like a cultural thing that kind of, permeated into anime. And that's the best I could come up with. But like this is, I would say Street Fighter does it. I would say Dragon Ball Z also, but Street Fighter, every attack they do, it requires they say it. So
I think it's more like incantations, like.
Yeah, that's all I always
magic spells. Like they don't work unless you say the magic words, like it wills it into
Tomby's
being.
here. What's up, Tomby?
Tomby.
He was on last 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago when we did Way of the Dragon. Yep. But yeah, so we open up and it doesn't open up on well, I guess it's not open. We transition and it is I have my notes here. Minister Sellers, and he's being mobbed by media to discuss recent developments involving Shadowloo and what he plans to do about it. Or shadow law, as they call it. It's either or.
That was bugging the crap out of me. It's like it's Shadowloo. Well,
so I think Shadowloo is kind of a mistranslation, because in the early games there was a lot of mistranslations. That's why that's how Fei Long came about. Like it was a mistranslation, and they added him as a character later.
There's the whole thing that Bison is Vega, and because of the Mike Tyson thing, and
yeah, and we'll talk about that a little later, but so as let me go back real quick. So as he's being mobbed in the audience, Cammy is kind of waiting to attack him, which is weird because we know Cammy as a
good guy.
A good guy. She's a member of Interpol and works with Guile and all of that. But she easily beats the piss out of all of his security team and also basically breaks his neck.
Yeah, but what a way to go.
Dude, yeah, but also carrying out an assassination mission with no weapons, just literally just barehanded killing the target, that's crazy.
Well, I think, they never specifically state this, but I think that's one of the reasons they're interested in martial artists, because they can essentially be sleeper cells. Right. You don't need you can get into buildings with no weapons. And you are the weapon, at least in the Street Fighter world. I mean, in the real world, I don't care how good you are at boxing, if 7 people attack you.
The perfect
and they're all armed guards. You're not. I don't care how many punches you can throw. That just doesn't work that way.
Unfortunately, though, this is kind of like the first one that we see where what Stupenzo was saying, that we have a character that a lot of people love. Cammy is one of the most popular characters, mostly because of her wardrobe.
Yeah.
But like you go to any convention, any convention, any video game convention or like Comic-Con, I guarantee you're going to encounter multiple Cammies.
Yes,
it's
and
very
I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, I mean, every character is from a different country, so Cammy represents our English people, our United Kingdom fans. And I mean, imagine if Kylie Minogue was in this movie and she shows up at the beginning, breaks someone's neck, and then she's in an interrogation room, and then we never see her again. But to be fair, like her whole assassination, like what she does, like it kicks off pretty much the whole story, we've got,
and this would remove her from the narrative. Like, there's no way a brainwashed like super fighter is not going to be allowed to walk the streets again.
Yeah. Not everyone can be the main character, but pretty much every character they feature has like a moment, at least, like a fun little either a fight or a witty little Easter egg or something. They try to do the fan service as best as they can and have it serve the plot first and foremost. Like. And what's impressive is I think this movie does feature the entire roster, like all
a big chunk of it. I think a couple of the characters fall through the cracks, but not real. That's also because later on they kept adding characters to Street Fighter 2.
Yes,
at first there was only like 6 or 7 playable characters because you couldn't play as Bison, you couldn't play in the original version, you couldn't play as Bison, Sagat, or Vega or Balrog. So it was like Ken, Ryu, Honda, Zangief, Blanca, Chun-Li, and I'm probably missing one that I didn't. Dalsim. I said Zangief. So there was like 7 or 8 playable characters. Then they added in the second version, you could play as the boss characters. Then they kept adding characters.
Yeah, well, Street Fighter 3 is where you get T-Hawk and Cammy and Fei Long. And
T-Hawk actually is in the last version of Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. So when I bought the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter 2, I thought I was getting like the Street Fighter collection, and really it was all the collection of the different versions of Street Fighter 2. And it would be. So in Turbo you got a little bit more. In Ultra you got, so in Alpha you got so Street Fighter 2 Alpha you got like 3 more characters. And so eventually you ended up getting this huge roster that led directly into 3. And but essentially I bought the same game like 10 times.
Seems like a weird idea to have the same game out that many times. Why would they do that? Obviously it's before DLC, so
yeah, that's basically, I was gonna say it was essentially early version DLC. I'm just gonna pull the pop-up chat here so that way I can eventually do my poll thing. Okay, and it was basically the early concepts of DLC. It's annoying. Most people remember the arcade version, which was the first version. I think it was so the first one was World Warrior, and then there was Championship Edition. Championship Edition was the one where they added the ability to play as Bison and Sagat in them, and that's the one most people remember. But then I think I have the exact same collection you have. Is the one for PlayStation 2? Is that the one you're talking about?
I have it on Switch, but yeah, I'm assuming it is.
Yeah. So basically, this causes Cammy's little cameo is causes obviously a big international incident because she just attacked a foreign minister in her country, and so that brings in Chun-Li, who is pretty much the top investigator for Interpol.
Yeah, she gets to wear her own costume, wardrobe. She doesn't have to stick to any kind of uniform or whatever.
Yeah,
I love that they all get to wear their outfits like that.
Because of course you're not going to be inconspicuous, walking around like that.
Yeah, it's funny though because no one even acknowledges that she's wearing this ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's so anime.
When you're really good at your job, you wear whatever the hell you want, and no one cares.
It's like Assassin's Creed Shadows. So I was like, oh, he blends right in.
Yeah.
Every day is Casual Friday for Chun-Li.
Characters are in this.
So she basically gives part of the briefing that explains all of the various members of, I'm going to call them Shadowloo probably the entire time, only because that's why I may slip in Shadowlaw as I go along, but she explains, Bison, she explains Vega, Sagat. I love how she explains Sagat. She's like, this walking mountain of muscle.
Yeah.
The dub is actually really good, by the way, guys. It's a lot of times the sub is what you want to watch, but the dub here, they actually like Steve Bloom is part of the cast. I think he plays Guile, and and so like they got a really good cast, and they didn't do too much of that stupid regionalization shit where they make jokes about like the local stuff. They kept it. They mention where they are. They're always like India, Japan,
It's
Thailand.
it's a lot of exposition. It's all very tight. It's like a comic book where, you know, you don't want really any filler dialogue. You know, you want everyone says their lines like short and to the point, and you get new information basically every line or so. Every scene, you know, there's a new development with the plot. You know, we find out that, you know, Bison's working with these mercenaries, and he doesn't know. They don't know what they're doing. Cammy has no recollection of, you know, attacking the minister. So, you know, that's they're causing these people to get all Manchurian Candidate on everybody, and it's a big deal.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm just putting up my little Q&A now. You can only everyone is in the chat. We have anywhere from like 8 to 11 people, which is pretty good for a Saturday morning, by the way. I'm glad to see you all here. You can answer if that's the question. You can only answer once. And if you get it right and you want a digital copy of Street Fighter 4, I will send you the code. If you get it right and you don't want it, you can then pick whoever you want to give it to. I don't at that point. But so yeah, she's kind of giving like the briefing of all of the people, like Bison, Vega, and all them. And of course, she has to go and, you know, she's gonna be working with Guile, who is still to this day has the most epic hair in the history of anything.
How does
like
the
having a
helmet
flat
fit
top?
on
Like, say again.
Yeah.
How does that helmet even fit on his head?
Yeah, right.
Well, his hair is just naturally awesome. It doesn't. There's no product in that. That's just how it is. So it crushes down when he puts the helmet on, and when he takes it off, it just stands right back up. It's very, you know, he has perfect hair.
I really want to see the Japanese understanding of why they made the characters like this. They just assume, oh yes, all Americans have hair like this.
I think what's even funnier is that they just assume all of, and they weren't that far off, because like they were like, oh yeah, we definitely got to put like 2 giant American flags on his shoulders, on his deltoids, which is not really that far off to how we handle things here.
Very accurate.
One of my favorite jokes about him is that they're not; those aren't tattoos; they're birthmarks. But basically, you know, Chun-Li goes to meet up with Guile, who is not particularly interested in working with her. He really just wants to take on Bison by himself. He has a personal vendetta against Bison, who killed his partner. But then again, Chun-Li also has a personal vendetta. He killed her father, which is the most famous scene from the live action, you know, the Tuesday scene. I originally considered doing that movie. Maybe we'll do that next year. We'll like flip-flop it. Maybe next year we'll flip-flop it. We'll do a Mortal Kombat animated movie, and we'll do the Street Fighter live action or something.
I watched that movie, so I think it came out in kindergarten for me, and that was the divider line for like the cool kids and like the lame kids. Like if your parents let you go see the Street Fighter movie,
I
still to this day. Oh, go ahead.
I actually had the book of the Street Fighter movie, and for a very long time, I've been trying to find the movie. Then one day, me and my dad went on an excursion to every Blockbuster Video in New Jersey, and eventually found the movie.
As they were closing, you were just like, "Hey, do you happen to have this?"
Yeah, like the last one we went to. I've been reading this book for years, and I always just didn't really understand who the people on the back were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's another conversation for another day. I mean that's like a whole another thing. But basically back at Shadowloo in their I think this is in Thailand. I think that's where their location is. Yeah, because they mention it later. We're introduced to Bison formally now, he has this the way that they draw him is just so much cooler than he was in actually all of them. I would say literally all 4 of these guys get a much better treatment than they did in the game. Especially Sagat.
It's the same with the Marvel versus Capcom. Like, I don't know, the Marvel characters got such an awesome illustration treatment when they were in the Street Fighter universe. You know, whoever was drawing those, It was
Well,
great.
one of the reasons why Sagat is very thin in the in Street Fighter 2, and then later on they bulk him up in other versions. I've read conflicting reports about that. Some people said that it was a restriction. It was due to programming restrictions. If they made it would make his hitbox like obnoxiously large if they built him up like that. And then other people had reported that they did it on purpose because it essentially made him look more like he was from Thailand. Like he had more of a build of a Thai boxer. So I like to believe that it's a mixture of the two.
Well, also like with the soundtrack, I love how like you get like 3 songs in this one like 2-minute intro. You get the cool electronic music when we see the big statue open up, and then you get the 2 different like orchestral score stuff going on with Bison just walking, into this railing into this corridor, going to sit inside.
We have a super chat from somebody. I don't know who this is. The uninspired reviewer. I don't even think this guy reviews anything, to be honest with you. I think he should change his name to the uninspired spectator. But he says, for 2 not real monies, King of Fighters 97 is a better game. Fight me. I mean, I could if you really want.
King of Fighters movies are there.
Well, King of Fighters comes out with like a new game every year. They do like the Madden thing. It's like King of Fighters 97, King of Fighters 98. Like,
why wouldn't you just call it Fight King? That sounds cooler,
I always thought that like you were hot shit, like if you were good at Tekken.
Tekken. So there's like 3 styles of fight game. There's the Street Fighter 2D kind of 2D 2.5D style nowadays. There's a lot that follow that one. Then like King of Fighters was in that like vein. Then like Tekken was always like the 3D style, which is a completely different play style. And then you have more of your arena style ones, which I would say like Super Smash Brothers is, because there's not really a traditional like a health bar or anything like that.
Yeah, I was always more of a Mortal Kombat kid, but
Mortal Kombat started as that 2.5D, and then they eventually transitioned to the 3D.
Yeah. But I do love the like the Capcom fighting games. They're so hyperkinetic. Like if you are epileptic or prone to seizures, those games could definitely like trigger something. They're so
solid
insane.
fighting game that no one ever talks about is Samurai Showdown. That's a really good one that no one ever mentions. If you never played Samurai Showdown, it's really good.
I've always been a Mortal Kombat guy, but this is the first game that I did not buy the DLC for. But my buddy is a diehard Street Fighter guy, and I was like, "Oh, this is probably going to translate well." And he plays as Ryu. I tell you this, I did not touch the ground after he got me in the air once. Like it was another level of the strategy is just a little bit different. Different as well.
Yeah, well, Street Fighter has a lot of it's basically all combo based. If you can get your combos off before the other guy, you win. There's a reason why it says 99 seconds on the countdown clock, but it's really like 20 because it goes so fast. Like it's counting down so quickly. I'm gonna put up a poll as well. I'm just gonna make this insane for everybody. So yeah, I just put up a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter poll. So, and I'm not King of Fighters because no one knows. But no, I played King of Fighters, but really, honestly, it comes down to Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter.
I only play X-Men Mutant Academy.
Anyway, out in the mountains somewhere, Ryu is training and having flashbacks of him and Ken training as well. This guy, not only does he train, he envisions himself training while he's training. He's doing his training in his head while he's training.
He Inception trains.
Yeah. And then I'll leave it at that one for now. There's a lot of these flashbacks, which is pretty much how the story of Ryu and Ken is told, because for the most part, actually, considering the fact that they're the 2 main characters, they don't appear in much of the current narrative. They're mostly in flashbacks, and then they kind of take over toward the end. Unless it's a fight, they're barely in it.
Yeah, and I love their younger character designs. But also before that, Bison's talking about how we need to find this guy because he beat up Sagat, but also they're unveiling the surveillance drone robot, which
kind of looks like Sagat,
right? But at the time, it was like, this is awesome, like a robot surveillance droid. But now it's like, why not just get like a little robotic little mosquito or something, or a little, a little drone of some kind,
Yeah, like not this completely conspicuous 6'7", droid with a
everything.
But that is weird. So like it is strange. The plot, I love it because it is very anime. It's very video game. It's like we need to take over. We need to take over the world. We need martial artists.
Yes.
Okay, but like you have literal like an army of guys with missiles and guns. Like, but we need a really good karate guy.
Yeah, no, you have cyborg soldiers.
Yeah,
it's like, they're only used for surveillance. We don't need
no sense.
We weren't able to program them with fighting.
They abide by the laws of robotics.
That's why they need the kung fu fighters to train the robots.
Oh yeah, the evil Billy
Jacob WD-40.
Like
my brother,
Ken.
His brothers and him played the Star Wars version of Street Fighter, Masters of Taras Kasai. I don't know. Isn't that like the worst fighting game ever made?
Yes.
Or something like that?
Well, it's like instead of a Bill and Ted evil robot us's, you got Ryu and Ken evil robot us's. That'd be dope.
But yeah, so like I said, Ryu kind of, and I do like that line you mentioned, by the way, Stupenzo. That I think the exact wording is. Bison says like anybody who could beat the shit out of or beat Sagat is somebody I want on my team. Yeah, it's very like honestly, I always said like in hindsight, the way that Bison speaks is so similar to like Vince McMahon from WWE. It's like I need this in my life. Yeah. It's like
totally evil. Even has like that weird like old Frankenstein guy who's also like, my master. We've created
I can go back. Hold on. I can go back. Hold on. He's right there.
Yes. You think we're the bad guys? I love how there is no confusion. We are the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like we're fucking here. We're Shadowlaw or Shadowloo or whatever.
Yeah, they don't try to hide it. They're like, we're in a giant mountain head. That's where we hang out.
Yeah, Vegas there's psychopath.
There's no convoluted backstory. And my father was mean to me. Yeah. And the only reason that I hang out with M. Bison is because I want my daddy's approval. No,
we're actually freedom fighters. Like trying to free Tibet.
Yeah.
Vega and Balrog specifically are really just doing it for money. Yeah. That's really what it is. Vega is an assassin. Balrog is in the storyline, he's a former championship boxer who no longer can fight for like he basically lost his license because he beat somebody to death or something like that. And he was also gambling on the side. And Sagat's really the only one that has like a depth to why he's doing this. Sagat's really not, it's weird in the storyline of Street Fighter. He's really not evil. He wants the best fight he can get, and he knows it's Ryu, so he kind of just goes the route of, okay, well, if I join Shadowloo, I could probably fight Ryu instead of just like finding him and being like, hey, do you want to fight again?
He just can't let it go.
Yeah. Basically, it's very much that he just has a personal vendetta because it was the first fight that he really lost. He's also like a national hero. Like in Thailand, he's basically a celebrity, and it's hurt his like status.
Yeah, no, I always liked Vega too, and even the way that he's described in this, they're like, yeah, he's just a sociopath. Like, he really.
I really feel like
anybody who walks around wearing a huge claw to kill people with in broad daylight, and that's probably a crazy person. Just saying.
Yeah, he's got that big, awesome snake tattoo, goes over his whole torso.
Well, he's so vain that his vanity is like part of his character, and that's like I don't want to skip forward, but like that comes into a big what? Yeah, when he's fighting Chun-Li, that's like a big part. Like so when she like messed up his face, like that was like the worst thing that you could possibly do to him.
That's
Vega-
also cool about the live action version is Vega is very vain and handsome and ladies love him, but he's insane. He's a psychopath and they don't care.
One thing I will say about Vega is, and this actually applies to several of the characters. I wish Vega would have had like a Spanish accent because he's supposed to be from Spain.
Yes.
Yeah. So
he's one of those white Spaniards. They're out there.
Well, there are a lot of people in Spain who are extremely light skinned, but but he should have had an accent, in my opinion.
I mean, they all have different style fights. His in the game, his style fighting is Matador.
Right. He's got this whole showboaty presentation about it.
Did you guys ever see those what is it? The guy who did the Batman sketches, the Badman ones.
Yes, I love those, and I actually want to get on if you ever cover that on your show, I want to do it.
Yeah, Pete Holmes did like a damage assessor for Street Fighter, and they had Vega on. He's like, I would like to bring my claw, and he's like, you want to bring 3 swords, taped to your hand to a hand-to-hand fight. No, that's not going to go well.
So I do want to say, since you're talking about damage assessment, I remember when I was a kid, I always assumed that eventually they were going to punch the shit out of this car.
Yeah, cool. That was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, because essentially Ken, he just drives this sports car around. He's coming back from some sort of martial arts tournament. It's very vague what he's coming back from. But of course I love his nonchalant way. She's like his girlfriend is like, so what happened? He's like, I won. Well, it's like he's never lost ever.
Yeah. No. At least he's not going out cheating. He's just he's doing underground street fighting. What's worse?
He feels like what Johnny Cage should be in Mortal Kombat, where he's got all this rich and all these riches because he hasn't lost, and
so there is some parallels there, but Ken was rich before he became a martial artist.
Yeah. Dad, I want karate lessons. All right, we're gonna go send you to the mountains of Nepal or wherever. And
that's
the
greatest.
Yeah. Mr. Miyagi was busy, so.
But anyway, the Ryu is in China, and he kind of gets in trouble. So this is just a great shot of Fei Long, who is essentially just Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Every game has Bruce Lee in it.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who does the voice of Fei Long in the American version?
Not off the top of my head.
It's fucking Bryan Cranston, and he's uncredited.
Really?
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
He's credited under a different name for some reason, but it's unmistakably him. And
I'll have to go back and re-listen to it now.
It's him.
But yeah, so he's like I said, he's basically Bruce Lee. He's out there filming, and he just kind of disappears to go check out the local underground fight scene. Right. Where Ryu has kind of come into a shitty situation. I don't know. This is just a random guy that they made up for the movie.
Yeah, but it's quintessential in any type of fight movie like this, where there's the big guy twice your size, and he's like, "Who is this little pest?" And
Also, does Ryu kill this guy?
I mean, probably knowing him.
Right. Get your nose bridged up into your brain.
I do have the fight between him and Fei Long, which has no sound, so we could speak over it. So I'll play that while we're talking about this whole
Bryan Cranston doesn't do the Bruce Lee sounds. I have to say that much.
Okay, it's funny that you said that because I'm looking at the Wikipedia for it. All the English dubbed actors are credited as someone else.
Weird. Oh, well, that would explain why I never knew who the hell they were.
Steve Bloom is credited as Richard Cordana.
Are these their real names before they
Bryan Cranston is credited as Phil Thomas.
That might be Bryan Cranston's real name. Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, maybe.
That might be his real name because you'd have to select a different name when you're in the Screen Actors Guild. But there was a lot looser rules back then with voice acting. It was a lot different in the 90s. But you guys can unmute yourself as soon as I play this. This is the fight between Fei Long and because there's no sound. I could not get this with the sound. Every time it would just knock it out. So we'll just have to be like, wah, 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 wah. This is one of the better fights in the movie because it's probably the most similar to the actual game, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I'm not spamming air attacks continuously.
But this is very much Kung Fu versus karate, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, this was in the 90s too. How come stuff today can't do this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there is... I was saying this backstage. The animation in this movie was next level.
Yeah.
It's definitely some sort of mixture of computer and hand-drawn. But I think it's mostly, I would say it's probably like a 75-25 mixture. And whoever was drawing this was just fucking good. Like they get the hair. Oh, I'll just go next one.
Well, I like how they trade spinning kicks with each other. You know, you get another excuse to see the cool special moves from the game. And also, yeah, Fei Long kind of gets his ass kicked, and he's not, he's very braggadocious, but I don't know, like Ryu humbles him.
Well, I like to think of it like this, like Fei Long, he's an actor and a fighter, whereas Ryu is just a fighter. So like Fei Long spends big chunks of his time remembering scripts and stuff. Ryu is just out on a mountain practicing.
No, I took it as more he just thought Ryu was a nobody. As soon as he found out afterwards, he was like, "Oh, that's who you are. That's
you trained with so and so." Yeah.
Yeah, so
you fought Sagat.
Yeah, he kind of got his respect after the fact, where he was like, "Oh, I probably should have taken this more seriously if I would have known that you were a real fighter." Which,
here's a.
I mean, just look at him. Does he not look like a real fighter just by looking at him?
It's like a logistic question.
It's destroyed by the size of his shoulders.
Like Ryu's homeless and lives on the street and walks the earth, but how many trash cans does he have to raid daily to get the protein to get this huge? You know what I mean? Like, what is he eating?
There's someone online that probably has the answer to that.
He's eating like lembas bread that his sensei taught him how to make.
Well, he does always have money.
He eats.
Yeah, he does always have money on him. They show that a little later.
He's just stopping at every
with the little girl in the milk.
Yeah, he's just stopping at every food truck and food retailer he can, just getting constant protein.
You have like a whole chicken I can eat,
and a dozen eggs and a gallon of milk. Eat that.
Just give me the chicken and the eggs. Just a multi-generational genocide of a family. Just give me the whole thing.
I really love in the flashbacks of Ryu. It's just him with sleeves, and that signifies that it's in the past.
Yeah, well, his sleeves could still fit over his arms. That was the difference.
Yeah. Him and Ken are significantly slenderer in the past. And Ken's
they're teenagers. They're supposed to be like teenagers at that point. They're supposed to be like 17, 18, and then here they're supposed to be in their mid 20s. This is but one thing, it's funny because Ryu has a reputation actually throughout the world. Like people know who he is, but no one really knows what he looks like for the most part. Because he just kind of shows up, beats the shit out of people, and leaves. He's like this specter of martial arts. And the next scene actually kind of highlights that because it's. Let me just double check my notes. Oh yeah, okay. So this is one of those bots we were talking about earlier. Yeah. Apparently it's good enough to just drive a boat.
They're everywhere.
But can't fight people. You can't do it.
No, can't fight people.
I had to rent a boat for this scene.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I'd like one boat, please.
Let's see. This is but basically Ken and T-Hawk are fighting, and T-Hawk is a fucking enormous. Sagat's enormous. T-Hawk actually dwarfs Sagat. It's crazy. This one I believe has sound, so but it's a lot quicker because it's a very short fight.
So just what are you trying to prove here, Chief Running Mouth?
You are known as a skilled fighter and have won many titles in your time.
Nobody alive has been good enough to beat me yet. Except for you. Watch out. When you ask for something, you might get it!
So there's a line that I wasn't able to clip in there where he mentions that Ryu he kind of has a negative reputation. Like they look at him as like a vagabond who doesn't like, I don't know. Essentially, it's like, oh, he doesn't live up to his obligations. Basically, it's like, what obligations does this fucking dude have? He's just a guy who like.
He says nobody's ever beaten me except for you. He's like, a vagabond who walks the earth. You compare me to him?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
what the hell are you doing? You're just a random Native American dude in a port somewhere in California. Like you're clearly wandering the world too.
Chief Running Mouth. I'm gonna have to steal that one and use that again sometime. Chief Running Mouth.
I like how Ken's entire personality is just citing sad times that Ryu was in his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's part of his character. It's basically like both their character arcs is that they're friends, rivals, and occasional enemies. And it's that actually happens. You get this from years of training with the same people. Jiu-jitsu obviously, but it still has the same connotation. You get these friendly rivalries where like you kind of want to one up each other all the time, and like one person will be better for a little while, and then you'll jump that person, and they'll get better. I have a couple of people that I train with that are like that, and it really is a different kind of friendship. Like I always say, you don't really know a person until you fought them. Like, and what I mean by that is if they're like a dirty fight, like a person at their core that will like break the rules and be like a dirty fighter, then that's probably like there's some deep seated negativity there. Like I know people who I train with that do kind of cheap, dirty shit that like they'll grab your fingers and like bend them back and
and like so when I wrestled, there was a huge difference between like straight up dirty and like antagonistic, where if they had you pinned down, they want to give you the dog sniff in your ear, and like okay, that's aggravating, but you're not a dirty fighter. There's guys who will stomp on your toe, and you're like, okay, like
it's like win by all means necessary kind of shit.
The Cobra Kai, kind of 80s Cobra Kai,
sweep the leg.
Yes, and you're like, dude, come on.
But yeah, so basically this scene almost feels random and tacked on, which is kind of how T-Hawk is to the game anyway. Well, so it's very appropriate.
It serves a purpose though, because the idea is, Bison wants Ryu. He's the greatest fighter, but he can't find him. And then meanwhile, these surveillance droids are all over the world, surveying the greatest street fighters. And Ken has been street fighting. We've already established that in the last scene. And here he is doing another late night street fight, not for, just because. And he's kind of being a pacifist. But yeah, the whole point is he does the same moves and the robot reports back. And it's like, well, if we can't find Ryu, this guy's the next best thing,
This guy's kind of like Ryu if he was, had a home.
Yeah. If he was, an American.
Yeah. So the next sequence, there's a lot of slides for this one. But essentially this is the meat and potatoes of Ryu's story for the remainder. So so they say it later in the movie. He travels between Thailand, China, and India. He just kind of, which is a very fucking large area, might I add, with a lot of mountains. Like with a lot of mountains.
What the one thing that they've showed, he's quite prolific at climbing mountains without gear.
Yeah.
What they don't tell you is this movie takes place over the course of 2.5 years. That would make more sense, because like with the editing, you think, oh, this is happening currently. Meanwhile in India, it's like it's probably been several weeks, since we last saw him in China, and
he only walks.
Well,
he only walks.
There's got to be deleted scenes of him hopping on boats and trains and what have you, and getting rides. But
he runs along the water.
Okay.
So he's traveling through India. He kind of runs into this little girl here who is just bringing milk to her mother, who is like this kind of creepy woman sitting under a box.
Yeah. It's hot in India, bro.
I get it's hot, but she's just like, it's like very like weird the way she does it. And he accidentally knocks it over. He gives her money to go get more right there. And you think that's just kind of a one-off, and that's not going to play anything because we immediately jump to Honda versus Dalsim for some reason fighting in the streets of India.
It's street fighting. There's street fighting
Yeah,
everywhere.
I just really don't know why a sumo wrestler would all of a sudden be like, I gotta go fight a yogi. I don't really know why.
And Dalsim was like definitely like one of my go-to characters. So like, it was cool to see him in here. I wish he would have played a bigger part, but like you said, not everyone can have the limelight. But I absolutely love E Honda in this movie.
Yeah, he's one of the few characters that gets more screen time. Yeah, really, there's the main characters are Chun-Li, Guile, Ryu, Ken. E Honda is a ball.
Well, you got to remember, it came out in Japan first, and Honda is one of the Japanese characters, so he would have gotten more screen time because of that.
Yeah, they got to rep their boy. But
he wasn't a large Hawaiian cameraman like in the live action.
Also, Dalsim wasn't some fucking scientist working for M. Bison against his will.
Sagat was just an arms dealer. Like a lot of those things, the choices they made for the live action one are just insane.
Well, they just wanted to cram as many people as possible into the live action scene.
Well, this one does the same thing, but by not trying to work everyone into the main plot, I think that's why
I will always say this about the live action one. One of the greatest lines in the history of movies is in that when they're driving and they're gonna crash into the wall, and they were watching it on the surveillance cameras, and Zangief just goes, "Quick, change the channel."
Yeah.
Cinema.
By the way, like I know we keep talking about, look how inconspicuous that cyborg is. It was like just completely blending in. Just
well, there's a sumo wrestler fighting a dude with long arms in front of him.
Yeah, no one's looking.
Cyborg,
no one's looking.
Giant chin.
So one thing about this though, so I wonder if the reason why Dalsim kind of gets done dirty, he's often in the lowest tier of the characters, at least on the competitive scene. He's very often like in the F tier, which is weird because you'd expect him to be in a higher tier because he can reach across the whole fucking arena. But
it actually puts him at a disadvantage. So when he's bent down like that, if you're in the air while he's doing like a low stretch like that, he's just open season. So,
but basically, what's going on is they're all trying to kind of converging. Like Shadowloo is all kind of converging on where they've figured out Ryu is probably here, and we don't have I thought we had a still frame of it, but Dalsim basically just stops the fight. I don't have the fight between them. It was so intercut with other things, it just was hard to get. But Dalsim basically just forfeits because he's like, oh shit, there's somebody that's really powerful in the crowd, and it's like the weirdest.
It's like the Force.
And he's like, I noticed it. And this poor bastard just kind of gets caught in crossfire of being shot. Maybe somebody can remind me because I don't even remember what the scenario is here.
Let's see. Dalsim, gets crazy. I think it's because when Dalsim says he senses another fighter, what happens here? I'm actually rewatching it.
Yeah, this scene always kind of confused me because I was under the assumption that this guy is with Shadowloo. I know that Shadowloo.
Yeah, he gets out of a car. He gets out of that same car earlier.
Yeah, and then they just shoot him, and I'm like, why? This scene never made sense to me. To this day, I still have no idea what the hell's going on.
They look like their CIA outfits they're wearing too.
He's in the car. He does something, and now he's running back to the car. He gets wounded, and then these guys gun him down. And this is also another part of the unrated version. Like this death scene is extended by a one shot. But I don't really know either. He was up to
Sammy,
some.
Do you have any idea what the hell's going on in this scene?
I thought it was kind of like leave no trace, so they had to kill him because he knew too much.
Yeah, but then a scene later, Bison and them are like, "Oh, it's unfortunate he died." It's like, you fucking killed him. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, but that's just something that evil people say, right? Or just like in the Godfather, like, oh, what happened to Paulie? Like, oh, you ain't gonna see him no more. Like, just...
he's a little gone.
Yeah, exactly.
But
unfortunate.
Ryu,
it's unfortunate he didn't do what we asked him to do.
Yeah. But Ryu goes and essentially kicks right through the fucking windshield and drags the guys out of the car. And, because they're about to they almost hit the girl who he gave money to. or they do hit her, and because she's trying to give him the change back, and he's like, you didn't need to give me the change, like you could have just kept it, like, and she's like, but I wanted to, and she's like, then I got hit by a fucking car. It's like this girl is having the worst day of her fucking life.
Yeah. She's not having a great run.
No. And here's that scene I was talking about where they're like, oh, it's unfortunate that happened.
I'm sorry, I just saw the scene. Okay, he does. There's a 2-frame shot of him being dropped off, right, and then he kills that Gandhi guy. You see a judo chop to his neck, so he does kill somebody.
Yeah, Gandhi does make a cameo, and also this is the scene. That was the sequence that had.
Yeah, we saw it earlier. There's like a guy giving a big speech, before the street fight, and yeah, he does get murdered. It is an assassination. And then, of course, he's running back and he's wounded. And, of course, they kill him because he can't get captured, like Cammy did.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. So hold on. Like tying up loose ends.
I do have the picture of, if I could drag the damn thing. What the fuck?
That's what I was saying. I think this movie has way too many cameos because people are not fleshed out enough as they should be. And
yeah,
as you're going to show with this still shot, like, why is he in this? If and
the little girl gets hurt because the guy runs through her, basically, like knocking her down when he's running to the car before he gets shot. So there you go.
So this is we don't actually have like that's just a screenshot. Yeah, he's just randomly like sitting there with oranges or something. It's like, okay, cool.
Jacked fruit salesman I've ever seen in my life.
It's like it does the body good.
But yeah, let me just get rid of that one. I can stop sharing that.
Fun stuff.
Go back. But yeah, this is the scene where they're basically like the best way I could say is they're lamenting the death of the guy. Oh well, it's like that's unfortunate. Anyway,
it's like bad guys. It's like Sammy said, like bad guys. Like they, it's like you're gonna talk shit, but you're gonna do it in this polite way, which is extra evil.
Yeah. If only he would have followed his orders better.
He will be missed.
Yeah, but he made a great cake.
Oh, but also we got that great scene where E Honda shows up after the whole ordeal, and he's like, "Yo, I won because of you." Like you could.
Yeah, hey, we Japanese got to stick together.
Yeah, we're both Japanese.
We're brothers.
Yeah, and he laughs his ass off. Here's half my money, half my winnings. I owe it to you.
Is Vega too big in this? Do you think?
No, Vega's about the right size.
Yeah, I thought Vega was done all right.
So Sagat's supposed to be about 7 feet tall. It depends on his particular depiction in games. He's anywhere from 7 feet to like 7'3". T-Hawk is pretty much the biggest character. He's like 7'5" and like 500 fucking pounds of muscle. Like he's enormous.
Yeah.
Awesome. Vega's anywhere between 6 foot and like 6'4", depending on the way they draw him. Balrog about 6'6". They're all big dudes,
I like how the bigger guys like T-Hawk and Sagat and Bison, they're drawn with this like double face. Like they've got this like little face on top of this bigger head shape, like it's like a very distinct line around their heads,
Yeah, it's because they're so jacked that the muscles of their skull have become large.
Yeah, I used to use that excuse, and then my wife just told me I was getting fat. So no, I had a quick question. So do you think that they draw Balrog dumb looking, considering all the controversy?
Yes.
Which why they had to change his name, because there's plenty of times in this where they have him kind of like cross-eyed and going,
Drew.
Well, I've always kind of assumed I always kind of assumed he was kind of punch drunk.
Yeah.
And that happens when you have CTE. Your eyes just kind of don't work right. So like,
what was the controversy?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sam. You go ahead.
Okay, so originally, Bison was named Vega, and Balrog was Vega in the games, and in this they had to do that because they called the character Balrog. It was originally M. Bison because it was supposed to be like Mike Tyson. And they just changed it to M. Bison, so it would be like Mike Bison, and his estate was like, no way. So they instead of just flipping 2 characters, they actually flipped 3. And Balrog actually makes more sense as a Spanish character You know, so Balrog is Vega.
Vega is Bison, and Bison is Balrog. That's the old term.
Do you guys think Uncle Ruckus from Boondocks is kind of inspired by?
I think so.
Balrog?
So actually, I have a joke.
He's like, don't trust those Ryus over there.
you better not trust those Ryus. They're all sorts of weird. I got everything I need to get that Ryu out of this house. But
I love Shadowloo.
I actually have a joke in one of my videos. It was one of my Rings of Power videos where I make the joke about Balrog is Bison, Bison is Balrog because of the Balrog appearing. So like I'm like, here's M Bison now, or something like that. But
what's the M stand for? Do we know?
Major. Or master. It depends on which version. It's either major or master.
Milo.
It's a lot less funny.
Milo.
Those like Maurice or something.
Maurice Bison. Anyway, but yeah, so now Interpol is basically onto the fact of what Shadowloo is doing, and so Guile goes to visit one of the most ridiculous characters in all of Street Fighter, DJ, the boxing DJ.
So on the nose.
In case you weren't sure that this takes place in the 90s.
He kind of uses like capoeira as it's like a combination like boxing and capoeira that he does.
Yeah, he's from Jamaica, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I thought he was like an Eddie Gordo who used like boxing and like breakdancing. That's what.
Well, that's what capoeira is, breakdance fighting.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that actually had a
But
name.
he also does like because his like stance like capoeira guys like do like a lot of like weird motions like this in their stance.
Okay.
But he like squares up like a boxer and then does like the breakdancing. So it's like he kind of does like a combination of the two. There is pure capoeira fighters in Street Fighter later on, but yeah,
I mean, I have to say it would be distracting as like someone's doing like some amazing like breakdancing and then like also kicking you in the face. That would be hard.
So if you hit a move with like a capoeira kick, it will knock the fuck out of you.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's so
absolutely.
ridiculous that it's like the odds of it hitting are pretty low.
You're like, obviously high block.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's like just go watch videos of capoeira fighters. They like basically initiate their kick so far away that there's no guarantee the person will be where they were trying to kick.
Well, I would assume there's a lot of advertising for the moves as well.
It is very, very telegraphed. Like you jump. But anyway, so Guile. Sometimes when I'm like just trying to move my mouse, I end up clicking the slide. But Guile essentially warns DJ. This is another one of those just forced cameo ones. Yes, actually, Amelia, the capoeira was how slaves in Brazil did hide that they were fighting. They made it look like they were dancing. That is true. There is some capoeira is not as bullshito as some people make it out to be. It's not the greatest fighting style though. It's not even close. But it's fun. It's probably the funnest fighting style in the world.
I'm going on a deep dive later today.
Go ahead, man. Good to see you, Amelia. But so basically this scene was just to get DJ into the movie. It's Guile just shows up. He's like, hey, they're looking for fighters, and you're a fighter, and I figured I'd warn you, and bye. But now this is the one we were kind of talking about earlier. This is like the most cameo of cameo things that you could possibly do. We're like, we need Zangief and we need Blanca. So they're just going to fight each other for no apparent reason in some random casino.
Entertainment.
Which felt very much like Street Fighter because but I loved that, they're actually doing moves from the game.
Mm-hmm. I do have the clip, so I could play it. There's no sound, so we could talk over it.
At this point,
I really wanted the sound because I love this announcer, but he's like a ringmaster, like master of ceremonies kind of thing. I really like the way he delivers the names and stuff, but I just couldn't get it. It wouldn't let me.
Zangief.
Yeah. At this point, though, does Guile know that Blanca's alive? Because wasn't that his best friend that Bison turned into a monster?
That's for the movie.
That's from the movie, but is that from the game as well?
In the games, and they even say it in here, Blanca is just he's like a wild man from the Amazon.
Some kind of Bigfoot from South America.
Yeah,
that makes more sense. Okay.
How he got electric, I have no idea, but also that was the best way to beat the car.
He's part Pikachu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my this is probably this one is actually probably the most accurate fight because they use all the moves. It's a very quick fight. And it kind of makes sense. It almost feels like it feels like it's from the game because it's there's people betting on it, and often in the game you would see people. Hey, Melvin, what's up? Let me just highlight some stuff here. Yeah, we got Melvin. I'm just gonna highlight Melvin and Amelia in the chat, regulars, and they're also mods for me. So I always like to highlight the mods. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So and also like a lot of times in the games, there would always be like people in the background of the levels. And so this is like one of the few times that this one and the Honda fight are like the only ones that really have people in the background watching.
You need witnesses for these street fights. Who wins? You
need constant people in the background going.
Yeah. My favorite, go back and look at the background for Guile's level. There's just a chick grabbing a dude's balls in the background.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like it doesn't make any sense. It's just he's just there, just like here you go. But basically Blanca beats the piss out of Zangief, and like at first Zangief's not doing so terrible, and then he's he gets electrocuted and dies, I'm assuming.
Presumably to death, yeah.
Well, he also did like one of my favorite moves where he like climbs up on Zangief's shoulder and starts taking chunks out of him. And I was like, oh, this isn't
you think Zangief knew he was going to fight a giant monster? Or
right?
He's
look at Blanca in the cage and go, yeah, fuck this.
Yes, you should always pay attention to the balls. It's
like
very important. They're part of the package.
Imagine if Zangief shows up to the fight and it's like,
hey, Brownie's here too. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Everybody's popping in.
Zangief's opponent is a giant panther. I think he'd be like, what?
Yeah, you have to fight this silverback gorilla, and you're like,
Zangief doesn't speak English, so they probably just did the thing where they were like, here you go, your opponent is and they just explained it in gross detail, and he was like, yes, money. Yes.
Yeah.
Or he's got that Russian pride where he's literally not afraid, but he should be, because he's stupid. He's just like, yeah, let's go. I'll fight
in Soviet Russia, Blanca mean
grandmother, mother-in-law.
Blanca electrocute you. But now we get to everybody's favorite part of the movie.
Second favorite.
And we have a return of the of everybody's favorite censorship. But yeah, this was the scene that made me a man, I say. This is the most fan service-y thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. They knew what they were doing.
I'm just gonna leave this clip up, this one up for a little bit. I do have the fight, but I want to just leave this up for a few seconds. This was kind of like a selling point for a lot of the nerds. It's like everyone always loved Chun-Li, and they were like, well, let's just put her in the shower. Why not? We're just gonna make sure. Sammy's in trouble now.
I was gonna say Sammy's wife's like, what are you watching?
Sammy's wife is like, how dare you? How dare you watch this? This is. Yes, the Dark Hour pasties. I did miss one later that I didn't notice until like last minute that you censored, Joe. I think it was
Ken sitting down.
Yeah, but he had like no. They did him dirty. They didn't even give him anything down there.
Well, he's all loaded up. I can see why.
Yeah, he just. We'll just wait for Sammy before I play the video of the fight. But right before this, though, Vega is basically instructed to go take out Chun-Li, and he does it. He definitely goes full assassin mode in this. I really love that's how they do it. They use his, and they utilize a lot of his.
I ate the Cheetos.
You ate Cheetos?
There was like a little mini bag of Cheetos that she was like saving apparently for something, and I ate them, and now I'm in trouble. So
yes, Rachel, they turned Ken into a Ken doll. They took away his wiener later in the movie. We'll get to that.
Oh yeah.
But I do have the clip here. Hold on. And
The clip of the shower scene?
No. I just did we just did still frames of that. I could have probably got somebody to do some like motion tracking to do the whole shower scene, but this fight would have. I tried for about an hour to make this have sound. It's impossible. It's the whole thing is just licensed music.
The song's badass though. This is the best part of the movie.
That's why I tried. I tried so hard to get this to work, and it just couldn't. But yeah, so Vega basically breaks in, and this is probably my favorite part of the whole movie, to be honest. And I'm not even just talking because of the shower scene.
Yeah, it's like the stakes are up. It's really intense. The music is like really awesome and driving, but it doesn't. A lot of times you put on like the techno music and it dries up all the danger. This song is intense enough to where you think, like there's still like, Chun-Li could die, and she's getting her ass kicked, but then she like, does this great, like, she kicks his ass and it's fucking awesome, dude.
I love how she just picks up this fucking couch and throws it at him.
She's fighting in her underwear. Yeah, Vega's
she's really strong. Like if you just look at her legs and you can see how strong she is.
Yeah. There's plenty of ways to skin. There's more than one way to skin a rabbit or whatever he says.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, and then he says, and this. Say again.
I was gonna say we could have gotten the whole movie as Vega as the main villain. I feel like I feel like this movie you could have split it up where each person got their
Sammy was talking about. She fucks up his face. I mean, I actually like that's kind of what my eye looked like last week.
Yeah.
Damn, a lot of jiggle on that scene.
Yeah, it's the jiggle physics. So one thing I do appreciate is, first of all, they do use a lot of the moves, like because Vega is known for like he has special privileges in the game where he can like climb up walls and shit. He's the only character who can do that, at least in Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, I remember when I figured that out, and that's like all I did one day was just be Vega and just go like, I can climb on the wall.
And one thing that I love in this is that they don't. So he punches a hole through that wall with his claw. And then he gets polite. Yeah, there we go. This was a. I didn't go to this. This was Guile was actually trying to get there, but he didn't get there in time. But so he punches a hole through the wall with his claw, and that's where they end up hitting. And so that's how she's kind of able to kick him through the wall because it's already compromised. So I like that little detail. That's how that happens.
It's dope. Yeah,
that's the best fight. I mean, I almost want to play it again, but it's a pretty long clip that we have, and I know that Sammy we have to get this done by like 11:15 for Sammy's show. I don't want to like
bounce out.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I want you here for the end if we can get you. We'll get the whole
I
thing
would like that as well.
And that would also be like a solid 2 hours on this movie. So, but let's see what my notes. So so she ends up going to the hospital and basically is fucked up, and Ken is with his girlfriend just driving around. Wasn't this like 9 Inch Nails or something was the song they're playing or some shit?
No, this is
Alice in Chains,
Dem Bones by Alice in Chains.
That was it. Yeah, Alice in Chains. Yeah. And it's the whole scene is that it's just like, which leads me to believe he's playing it in his car on loop. And he basically proposes to his girlfriend, and she's taken aback by it because she's like, okay, like that's random.
We get another training flashback.
Yeah, this is right here. His girlfriend kind of looks a little bit like him with tits, though. It's a little strange.
It's a little egocentric.
Yeah, I knew a couple that looked like Ryu and Ken and his girlfriend. They look like siblings, and they would pretend to be siblings and go to parties and like make out in front of people and just weird everyone out. They'd be like, "Yes, it's my brother," because it's funny.
So this is this is where I think they could have done the whole like beat the shit out of the car thing. Yeah, like the test your might, so to say. But they don't. And Ken essentially it's not much of a fight, to be honest with you. It wasn't even worth clipping. He basically just gets completely outclassed by Bison, who then kidnaps him and is going to brainwash him.
I thought they made him a little too powerful.
Dude, yeah. When you realize like what Bison can do, you're like, holy shit. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? What am I?
Yeah. Why is he looking for Rio around the world when he could just use himself?
Yeah, there's literally no reason for him to need anybody else.
Like, is he Dracula? Like, what's going on here? You know?
They find his car. They find Ken's car, and I love this random cop. He's like, or this MP. He's like, "Yep, that's an unmistakable car." It's like
he gets so many DWIs. Like, we know. I recognize that car anywhere.
And there's a huge mistake in the scripting of this scene. The first line that the guy on the far left there with the beard is kind of the like Interpol commander, chief, whatever you want to call him. And one of the first lines he says is, "We have not been able to figure out where their headquarters is." And then like 3 lines later, they're like, "We're going to concentrate here because this is where their headquarters is." It's like,
wow, you guys found it so fast.
They have an idea of where they may be, where they have the most activity in like Malaysia or wherever.
It was Thailand.
Thailand.
Yeah. Which happens to be one of the locations that Ryu is just always in. It's weird. But let's see, where was I? So Guile goes to visit, Chun-Li in the hospital, who I always assumed that they just never mentioned it, but it seemed like she was kind of poisoned or something. Because
I kind of figured that too, but I mean, she got cut up in a bunch of different places, so.
Yeah.
It could have been that she was just losing blood, but she gets in the middle of the fight. She gets like really dizzy and falls over.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have just been from blood loss, or it could have been that he had laced some kind of. But then again, he also licks the claw, so he probably wouldn't have put any venom on there. Now, that I think
also,
about it.
Anyone who's ever like dealt with like sharp blades, I was like, even that little bit, like you're splitting your tongue open. Like there's like if they're meant to be as sharp, you're not doing that.
Yeah, these are supposed to be basically razor sharp.
And also, let's not beat around the bush here. This is a man beating the shit out of a woman. Okay,
a giant man too.
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't mention when we did the clip, the way that Vega probably dies. They're not really. They mention what is it? Bison later on mentions that if he's still alive, go kill him. Yeah.
And then they would, and he goes, "Oh, it's unfortunate. Oh, this is."
But the way he falls is exactly the way that they show in the flashback that Chun-Li's father falls. Yeah. It's exact.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a very blink and you miss it moment when she's like I don't want to say reminiscing because that's like, but like lamenting over her father's death. It's very blink and you miss it. He falls the exact same way into like a dark alleyway. But yeah, so essentially Guile promises her like, "Don't worry, I'll beat the shit out of Bite. I was gonna do it anyway. I was gonna beat the shit out, but now I have more of a reason."
This is off topic, but this looks like this is right out of like season 3 of Reacher.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of have you been watching? I've been watching Reacher. I'm only up to episode
I just finished
4.
season 3. Yeah, I like it.
I'm only up to episode 4 or 5. It's one of those things I kind of forget about it because I don't go on Amazon Prime that much, so I don't get the reminders that there's a new episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm fairly happy with the season. I think it's pretty cool. It makes me want to read the books though. It makes me want to read the books because I'm sure they're much better. But anyway, so yeah, Guile. There's a lot of parallels between Guile and Reacher, in the way that they handle themselves. But we're on.
Also, they're just both massive people.
Yes, that helps. Now here was the one I missed. But Joe put a heart there. But you probably didn't even need to censor this because they totally Ken-dolled him and took away his wee-wee.
Yeah, it was just always funny to put in there.
And basically, it's just him. He's Bison is basically going through Ken's memories, and they're all about Ryu. Like, it's actually kind of creepy. It's like there's nothing about like he'll see a quick image of the girlfriend, and then it'll cut to Ryu, and it's like I can only imagine what their sex life is like.
Ryu would have accepted the marriage proposal.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's mostly his like blood curdling scream, especially in the English version, It's really good.
But one of the problems is they don't basically don't do the full brain control, the full mind control, because they have to use him quicker than they want to, which is one of the reasons why he's able to break out of it. Because they have to go after Ryu, who's hanging out with Honda still, just by the way, the amount of muscle on Honda is insanity.
Again, what do these guys eat? What are they eating?
It's like how they portray like the Kingpin in the comics is like, no, he's not actually fat. It's like he is just solid muscle.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. This is exactly what, if you've ever seen there, it's in Frank Miller's Daredevil. There's a scene where he's actually in like a Kingpin's in a sumo outfit, and he looks very similar to this.
It's pretty cool.
More cushion for the pushing.
This is where my notes get a little hazy. So
but that's the thing, Enzo. There's no cushion to be found.
So this whole time,
yeah, actually, there is no cushion. It's like trying to push right into a boulder.
But at this point, is Bison just capturing people to mind control them? At this point,
this is, I think, the point where they started to run out of money. So they were just like, we got to get this story done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, because I thought that's what it was leading to, that he was building these robots to capture all the greatest fighters around the world, and then it doesn't really pan out to that.
And then the robots just don't matter anymore. They're just like, the robots were a failed thing. They were a failed project.
My first time watching.
He wants Ryu, but he can't find Ryu, so he gets Ken instead, and then Ken, I guess, somehow leads him to Ryu. I don't know.
And according to Amelia Bedelia, I agree. Honda, he's thick. He's thick. Crimson War Barn. Sumos in real life are I know that. I know sumos are no joke. That's the national sport of Japan, actually, is sumo. It's
how come sumo wrestling, they don't have that here at all?
Like, there is. There's sumo wrestling. There's sumo wrestling in the United States. It's not a big enough spectator sport that like a lot of they don't pick it up for television, but they do it over. They had one over at Prudential Center in New Jersey not that long ago. A guy that I trained with offered me tickets, but it was on a day where I was doing a show, so I didn't go. But sumo wrestlers they're ridiculous athletes. They so each there's weight classes obviously, and the highest weight class and the highest then there's like the Yokozuna is like the highest like honor. And they like lift each other from those belts. And these guys are like 350 minimum. They like,
how are the weight classes then if they're that big?
Junior and like it's like anything below like 250, I think, is one weight class. It's only like 2 or 3 weight classes. It's not. Not like
the ultimate fighting is Turkish oil wrestling. That's where the real entertainment's at. Look that up.
Haken from Street Fighter 4 is a Turkish oil wrestler.
Are you serious? You got to look up what Turkish oil wrestling is like. It's insane.
It's basically wrestling, but they just put like olive oil on their bodies, so that way they're very slick. It's crazy.
But they they put their hands in each other's underwear and grab each other by like their ass flesh.
It's not gay. It's a manly show of dominance. Okay,
very strange.
It sounds gay.
It may sound gay, but it's the Turkish. It's not gay.
Like
you don't. I guess it
never
is
call
Turkish.
it. Yeah, Turkish and never gay. But yeah. So Ken has been brainwashed as we went over, and
because his eyebrows are all evil.
They're evil eyebrows, and his eyes are red. So
I was gonna be like, Ken smoked a big fatty before he got off the plane.
And Ryu really doesn't want to fight him, which is funny because like their whole arc is that they want to fight each other. But I guess it's because he's not really fighting Ken. He's fighting fake Ken. Evil. And while that's going on, though, Honda is fighting Bison. This fight was, in my opinion, this was done dirty. These two they built up Bison the entire. Sorry, Bison. I'm doing that thing. Balrog. Yeah. I'm doing the thing where they built up Balrog the whole movie, and he gets about 4 frames worth of fight. It's not. They do him dirty.
That's actually why I found the dub version, because I was because in the Japanese version the names are correct, and I was like, this is gonna confuse the shit out of me. Also, I do like how they made Evil Ken's hair darker.
Yes, yeah. And we don't have any stills of it because honestly, nothing really. It's almost impossible to even show what's going on. But Guile is fighting Bison, and he just can't hit him. Every time he swings at him, Bison's just not there. So it wasn't exactly it wasn't conducive to a still frame because it doesn't get. And I didn't want to do 2 clips so close because I have the final fight. It would have been way too close to each other. But essentially, Ken does break out of his mind control after being thrown away like trash, and him and Ryu finally get to fight alongside each other against Bison, which I do have the clip of, and I think this has sound. If I recall correctly, this one I was able to get under it with sound.
What's wrong? Getting tired? Shall I end it? Huh? You both seem bound and determined to meet destruction at my hands. So be it.
Fucking awesome. It's just so fucking cool. So Bison is basically presumed dead. He gets hit with a double Hadouken, and he blows up with the plane. And Honda brings Guile and Balrog back for some reason.
Somehow they survived falling off that cliff together, which is amazing.
Yeah, they like roll off of a cliff and just.
I thought they literally died. It's like, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, you also got the whole arc about Ken getting broken out of his brainwashing and remembering his master and learning how to walk again. There's a whole lot that happens, but it's hilarious how M. Bison. I think me and Sammy were talking about how M. Bison is just like, he can literally like phase shift and teleport and do all this crazy crap, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna fight you on your level, and then he gets it's like, why did he do that?
One of the things in that flashback sequence, I probably should have clipped it, but Ken is standing near. It's Goken is their master's name, and Goken is talking to him through like the screen, and then all of a sudden it's just Bison just pops out and is like, "I'm your master now, bitch!" Like it's basically what he says. Like,
what was it? It was like, you have to go beyond victory, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. There's some weird esoteric bullshit that happens with that. It's I don't really know exactly what it is, but yeah, we're meant to believe that Bison is he be dead, and we're not gonna ever see him again. I guarantee it. I don't have a clip for later that's gonna do anything with that, but crashes into the scene like the Kool-Aid. I saw someone did the statistics on the Kool-Aid Man and how much he would weigh.
Yeah,
1100 on Enzo's picture, right? It
was like 11,000 pounds or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, was that you who did it, Enzo?
I shared it on Facebook. Yeah,
that might have been you. Okay, then I saw. Okay, I'm glad I brought it up and you were here because I sometimes I don't remember where I see the things.
No, yeah, no one ever does.
It's like 11,000 pounds because he'd be X number. Like they did like this is how many gallons
he's this tall. He's made out of 3-inch thick glass, so that would be like 6,000 pounds right there. Plus, he's filled with liquid. So that's like at least another 5,000 to 6,000 pounds right there. So yeah, he'd weigh like half a ton.
Yes, and Amelia, yes, you could smell the testosterone in that scene. Oop, everything good. That wasn't the one I was trying. But yeah, crashes into the scene like the Kool-Aid Man. But yeah, it's that whole sequence it's very good. It's not good for like visuals for the discussion, but it's really fun to watch because it's essentially like a drug trip he's going through. He's essentially on like an acid trip, but in his own mind. So But yeah, so they return, and Shadowloo is no longer because might I add, so I did mention this earlier. So the reason why Sagat isn't in the end of this movie is because Bison essentially goes, "Hey, go find Cammy and Vega, and if he's still alive, and kill them both." Like I don't, and he just disappears. He's like, "I want to fight Ryu," and is like, and Bison's like, "No, fuck you. Go do what I tell you."
That is weird. It almost feels like you said they ran out of money and had to quickly just rush to the end of the movie.
Yeah. I think what they were doing was they were setting up, because like you'll see at the very end, I think they were setting up for a sequel movie that never happened, and so they needed to preserve Sagat. They needed to preserve some of the characters because they couldn't kill off every character. Like obviously Vega's probably dead. He fell, I don't know, set like multiple stories down into an alleyway.
He has a claw. He would have grabbed on at the very last few floors.
But does he even want to live with his face looking like that? I don't think he wants to live with
that. Would be kind of a good character arc for the next one. His face is all messed up, and he has to wear the mask the entire time, and he freaks out whenever he's not wearing it. The
irony of the fact that he took the mask off too. Oh. It's like he could have just left it on. He didn't need to, but it was his vanity that made him get to that point. But Interpol, and I'm guessing the U.S. Air Force, because this is a very U.S. Air Force kind of moment. They're like, "Well, we found the base. Bomb the fuck out of it," and they just bombed. Which I like to. I would like to remind you that scientist is probably still in there.
Cool.
I don't care.
He's just like, "I'm waiting for my master to come back," and then boom, boom, boom. I will not leave without my master.
I can't build any more surveillance robots if you bomb my.
I wish she had like Torgo music playing whenever he was walking around.
Mm-hmm.
There was really no third movie after this.
So this wasn't even the second movie. This was just based on the.
Yeah.
They did other movies. They weren't directly connected. There was one that was done for Alpha Generations.
Yeah, I consider this a standalone movie.
Yeah, it's really a standalone.
It's so weird. They left so many Easter eggs to go forward with it.
So one of my favorite little details is that Guile gets a call, and he has like a 68 like what is it, Dodge Charger that he barely fits in. He's like this, and he's like barely moving the damn thing. And it's like this is a really hard fit in this enormous cab of a car. But
take a thing out of BA Baraka, get a van, bro.
And so he gets a call from the hospital, like from the, "Hey, we're having some trouble with there's an emergency, come down here." And he thinks that Chun-Li is dead, but she's really just fucking with him. She's just under the blanket waiting to spring up. And I like to think that these two fucked after this, I'm guessing.
I hope so.
And Ken and his extremely similar looking girlfriend, Ryu, they all just kind of say their goodbyes and go their separate ways. And
why is he letting her drive the car?
Well, he's probably pretty fucked up from the fight, to be honest with you. No, I didn't want that. So, and I do have a clip here because we were led to believe that he's dead, but Bison might still be around. This is the most ridiculous shit ever. He's just
the T-1000.
Yeah, he goes the whole T-1000 route. When I was trying to find this clip, because this was literally I added this about 5 minutes before I started inviting people into the backstage. Somebody redid this and they put earbuds in Ryu's ears, so that's the reason why he can't hear this giant Mack truck coming up behind him.
Yeah,
if anything, Bison's actually weaker with the truck than without it.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, and I think we have one more slide. Oh yeah, there it is. It's just the last one. And so that was Street Fighter 2, and there's definitely going to be another movie. I swear, like with this ending for sure. But oh man, this was one of the hardest streams to put together ever. I've had drop-ins, dropouts. I had to reschedule it. I have to work around Sammy's schedule, but I'm really happy that we did this one because this was honestly one of the funnest streams I think we've ever done, guys. This is
It's a legit movie. It's a good one.
I just noticed, Sammy, you have I never noticed you're in the background. You have like a custom neon light. That's pretty cool.
It was a gift from the missus. Yeah.
Oh, how long have you had that? I'm just now noticing it.
Since October, because I got it from my
Oh,
birthday.
I you know what it is. I generally don't pay too close of attention to people's backgrounds when they're on streams, but that one, like, as soon as I made it bigger, because
Well, and a lot of times, depending on the size thumbnail I'm in, it's not always in the shot. Or
yeah, but as soon as I made it bigger, it pulled it to the center of the screen, and I noticed it. But yeah, this was really fun. I do want to go around and any final thoughts we might have missed. I guess we started with Stupendo earlier, so let's go with Sammy this time.
Oh, I love this. I also own this. I had to track down the because I do have the Japanese, so I had to track down the English dub. Because, like I said, the names being juxtaposed was screwing with me, and I knew that was just gonna get confusing. But I think this is great. I agree with Stupenzo. I think this is probably one of the best video game adaptations around. And everything was handled wonderfully. There was just a couple critiques where I did think that they made Bison a little bit too powerful. But otherwise, it's a fun watch. It's a quick watch. It's a great film.
Where'd the poll go? I just ended the poll and it like disappeared. But I don't remember the number. I think it was like 68% of people. Oh, there it is. Okay, 62% preferred Street Fighter over Mortal Kombat. We are doing Mortal Kombat tomorrow, everybody. So this is the first time we're ever doing two shows. It's funny because Stupenzo was originally on that panel, and it got so packed. I was like, "Hey, would you mind backing off of this?" And then he ended up on the Street Fighter panel. It was really strange. But so, and let's see. Did anybody guess the character that I was?
Dudley.
I didn't. What is it? Questions. It is not Zangief. I'll tell you what, everybody. If you're interested in a free copy of Street Fighter 4, just start spamming which character you think I used when I played Street Fighter 2 as a kid.
Well, what do you guys think it is?
I mean, they're eligible too, even though they're on the panel.
Sammy, who do you think he used?
I'm gonna go with. You seem like a Zangief.
Nope. Not Chun-Li, Amelia. And I'm only counting your first guess, everybody. Rachel, no for Ryu. No, Amy Vega. No.
Oh, so it's Ryu then? Is that what it is?
No, it's not Ryu. It's not Ryu. I didn't use Ryu. Yeah, I'm only counting first
guy.
I like Ryu. That's one of the reasons I'm wearing a headband. But
was it Dan?
While we're waiting for that, Stupenzo, why don't you give us your last thoughts on the movie?
This movie rocks. And yeah, killer soundtrack, very nostalgic of the 90s. And it's got a good balance between that 90s alternative grunge rock and also this cool, like industrial, like techno music. It's cool stuff. And I mean, definitely also a good gateway for American audiences to get into anime in the 90s. I remember I knew a lot of people that this was their first anime movie ever to see. So, yeah, it was a wild one. And it's funny because this is kind of like in response to the 1993 live action one that came out like a year or two before this, The Japanese were like, hold our beers, hold my Ichiban while
Saki bomb.
Yeah, and it's just like I said, this is a great example of how to do fan service correctly, how to work in a shitload of characters and not make the movie feel disjointed or overstuffed. You want more, you wish there was more, and it's like everything's so the pacing's great. Just very well done. And there's probably some shortcuts here and there they took with the animation and the character designs and stuff, but it doesn't matter because it all works out really well. It's just got this great vibe. And yeah, like I said, I am more partial to the dub version. I just am.
Oh no, I mean the dub. I grew up with the dub, so I can understand that. Sometimes you just got like some of them are just fucking trash dubs and stuff. But when it comes to a good dub, is super solid, and I will always stand by that. I'm just gonna set. I see that you set up your cave cast. I'm gonna set it up so that gets everybody gets pushed to that afterwards. But while I'm doing that, Joe, why don't you give your final thoughts?
I enjoyed it, but as I'm watching this, I feel like it could have been a lot better. I feel like we got swerved a little bit with some of the endings. I thought it was going to be some end game situation where Bison had all these robots that he's been capturing people and giving their kung fu knowledge, and we're going to have Team Robot versus Team Street Fighter. I don't know, just it was good, but seeing all the cameos, I thought we were going to get something different at the end. Where it was going to be a big team build up versus Bison and the Legion of Doom or something like that. But
the Legion of Doom, Shadow Law.
Yeah, Shadow Law, Shadowland. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed that because I remember I messaged you right after I was done. Like, there's no third one here. Like, what the hell is going on here? So I was confused.
So, like I said, so really these were, they would eventually. There's a movie for Street Fighter 4, which is essentially just a tie-in that came out with the game. I think that's like the Ties That Bind or something like that's what it's called. I think some along those lines. And these are really after a while they just became tie-ins. This one was like a legitimate attempt. I mean, Amelia, I guess since you're still guessing and no one else is guessing, if you don't get it by the time we end this, I'll kick it out to comment section. But I don't want you to just go down the list and just start typing all of the names. It's like,
Was your favorite character Dan?
No. But as for my final thoughts, this is still a go-to for me. I'm not a huge anime guy. I'm not a huge there's certain animes I like, but I'm not like one of those people who is like, oh, everything anime I gotta watch. I need a Crunchyroll subscription. I need all of that. It's like there's certain ones I go to, I watch, and this is one because it's so condensed. You can, like I said earlier, you can watch the whole thing. It's only an hour 40. Give or take, depending on which version you're watching, and you don't even need to watch it completely in one go. You can actually isolate the fights and just go to YouTube and watch the fights. And actually, the whole thing, if you don't own it and you can't, because I couldn't find it on any, I don't like if I don't need to, I don't want to do a DVD. Like I have the DVD, it's there for posterity and just in case. But if I could find it online, I generally go for ease. And this was just on YouTube. The uncut version is just on YouTube. And so you could just go watch it pretty much anywhere. And I suggest that you do. If you haven't watched, I know a couple people said in the comments in the chat that they haven't seen it. I suggest it. It's not a big commitment. It's got an awesome soundtrack. And it's just fun. It's a fun little movie. But yeah, I guess that leads us to everybody's favorite segment. And it is time to plug your shit, my man, as Tar would say. This is where you tell us where you are, where you've been, what you're doing, and where we can find you. And we will start with Stupenzo.
Well, it's funny because yesterday I streamed with Northernest Bastard talking about Millennium Actors. So 2 animes in a row. But yeah, I mean, I think I might stream tonight after Circle of Jerks and finish up Playing It Straight, that reality show we've been watching. It's awful. And yeah, I'll probably do a stream Sunday night after Gooch and Gang, Monday at midnight. That'll be Tales from the Dork Side. That'll be like the big panel show. And then Wednesday, yeah, we got a full-length commentary for a terrible dinosaur radioactive salamander movie from 1998 that was capitalizing on the American Godzilla, and it's called Gargantua, and it stars Adam Baldwin and Emil Hirsch, and it's very bad. So enjoy.
Sammy.
Well, in like 20 minutes here, I have Cave Cast, which is an academic approach to the world and lore of Batman. Today we'll be discussing Alfred Pennyworth and Jim Gordon. Shouldn't be too long of a episode, but we like to give each character their like due discussion, and we're getting close here where we're gonna start getting to character discussions on like Robin and things like that. So we're really starting to rev up here. So I'm excited about that. And then every Sunday we have in other news with Sammy Threepeat. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, and that's where I get different people throughout the nerdosphere and don't talk to them about anything nerdy. We just discuss stupid things that happen in the news. Stupenzo's been on plenty of times. Actually, you're due for another bout, sir. I got to get you back on the schedule. And then actually we have our beloved host coming on for his first round.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited about this one because it's definitely a strange approach to a YouTube show, but I love it. I love different approaches.
Everybody who's been on it has had fun. There's only a couple of people who like haven't understood the assignment. Like we had Atreus on last week, and like
I've streamed with Atreus. He's a character, that's for sure.
And then at the end, he was like, "Oh, so we're really doing a news show?" I was like, "Yeah, no, we're doing a news show, man." I don't know if, but yeah. Other than that, you can catch me on other people's streams. I always like to jump in on Stupenzo's, when I can. I know we still got to do that watch of Prehysteria, and then I'm
gonna hide this because I don't want to cover Sammy while I didn't realize how big that was gonna be.
Otherwise, every Tuesday I'm on Leon's channel for we have a show called Tinfoil Haters, and every Thursday I'm on Roman of the Empires, where we do whatever the hell Roman wants to do. So
we have a super chat for $1.99. Wrong one. Is that wasn't this? Oh yeah, no, it is. Video game controller spinning around. The word GLHF appears behind. It's a sticker. If you're looking in the actual chat, you can see it, but I cannot show it for some reason because that's just not a thing over here. You can't see the moving stickers can't be shown on these things for some reason. How about you, Joe? What do you got coming up, or what are you in the obviously you're on tomorrow with me, but other than that,
whole first opening spiel. Tomorrow I'll be on this show talking about a piece of cinematic history, Mortal Kombat 1995 edition. And then on my own channel, just daily music, daily game updates, and daily reviews. I might be kind of slowing down things a little bit, though, but I still want to try at least post once a day with something new on it.
Okay. I obviously you said we're going to be on tomorrow. I'm also in the process, and I'm going to be on with Sammy tomorrow night. So I'm pulling a double tomorrow, and I'm in the process of doing my second Daredevil video. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue because I was disappointed with the first 3 episodes, and then the second batch of episodes has been very strange, to say the least. The first 2 so episodes 4 and 5 just didn't seem to make any sense with anything that happened. And then episode 6 was really good, but probably should have been in a different place in the series. And it's a very you can tell that the rewrites of that show really fucked with the pacing and structure and like some narrative structure. So that's pretty much my focus in the video, is that this probably has something that's really good in it. But the issue is that they're putting all the shit in the wrong order and putting it in the wrong places. And so, yeah, you can probably expect that Monday or Tuesday. I try to get it out before the next episode airs. But this one, because of doing Snow White and having all the double shows, triple shows this weekend, if you count Sammy's, it may have to come out on Wednesday, unfortunately. I'm sorry, everyone, but it wasn't the most popular video I ever did anyway, so I'm not expecting a crazy amount of people to watch it, but who knows? You never know. I said that same thing about several videos that ended up being some of my most popular ones ever. So other than that, I want to thank our guests. I would like to thank the chat, all the super chats. You know what? I'm just gonna say Amelia won on the thing, because even though this is hilarious, because I want to tell why. Where is it? She said not Balrog. Balrog was my character, actually. And the reason why Balrog was my character is because I suck at fighting games, and he is one of the easiest characters to play. So I say Amelia wins. She happened to mention it. If she wants the code, I don't know how she's going to reach out to me, but she can have it. Or she can gift it to somebody else. But, JH, that's fine. You can you 43 minutes behind. You just watch the rest of it. And Blue Collar Loser, Chris, yeah, Born Again has issues, but I support it. But Barenthal still, yes, but he was in one scene so far. Like he may have nailed it, but he was in one scene. That's not really. What is that? How much does that help?
He even said he's not going to return for the show if they don't rewrite certain things as well. It's like, yeah, but again, you were in one part of the show and that's it.
Yeah, well, the show itself. Go ahead.
They said the one episode that really wasn't tampered with that much was that bank heist episode, and I think by far that was the best episode we've had.
So the episode itself was fine. And I said this in my script, but the problem is that all the other episodes are like take place over several weeks or months, and then that one takes place in an hour. It's such a weird pacing change. It's just out of nowhere. They're just like, okay, everything happens real time now. It's but I don't want to go too far into that. But I guess Stupenzo, are you still there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you just decided you don't want to be on camera anymore. Okay. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to the chat. Thank you to the guests, and you will see us again tomorrow.
Later.
See you guys.